The Punisher: One Last Kill is out on Disney+. This is a new Marvel Television special presentation, the third one following Werewolf by Night and Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. And what these specials are just one-shots, single episodes, too short to be called movies, but being too single to be called TV series. This one is, of course, about the Punisher, played by Jon Bernthal, who also co-wrote the script, directed by Reinaldo Marcus Green, who previously made Bob Marley One Love, King Richard, and We Own This City. The special takes place supposedly, because honestly it doesn't seem that connected to any other properties, but supposedly it takes place before and during the events of Daredevil Born Again Season 2, and right before Spider-Man Brand New Day, where Punisher is also expected to appear. The episode finds Frank Castle having just dealt with the last vestiges of Italian mafia family connected to the family of Gnucci's, connected to his family's murders, and he's now struggling with extreme PTSD, hallucinations, suicidal thoughts. He is then pulled back from the brink when the sole surviving member of the Gnucci family puts a bounty on his head, forcing him to deal with an army of attackers and protecting innocents caught in the crossfire. So I gotta say, I wasn't a big fan of this. I think that as fun as it always is to see Bernthal inhabit the role of Frank Castle, that he's really good at, this felt a bit unnecessary and kind of a wasted opportunity, in the sense that it doesn't really do anything special for the character. It doesn't change the status quo. He doesn't undergo a massive change that we wouldn't have seen before. You could make an argument he becomes more of a sort of general vigilante at the end for the sake of justice, not revenge. But one might argue he has also done things like these before. I would say, in terms of wasted opportunities, the first season of Daredevil Born Again, where the Punisher appeared, sets up the Anti-Vigilante Task Force, which is a police squad, very brutal, sort of operating outside the law, as it were, and they're wearing Punisher skulls on their vests. They're using it as a symbol, and it wasn't really followed up or resolved in Daredevil Born Again Season 2. And I think some of us were expecting that the Punisher would take this on, because it's a really interesting sort of type of plot, really interesting theme to tackle. Corrupt cops, dirty cops who take on the Punisher sort of wrongfully as their, as the person that they are trying to mimic, as the person that they pretend they aspire to being, even though they are exactly the kinds of people that the Punisher would kill. And it was these themes were addressed in the comic books before. They were tackled by these, but they are just, that entire subplot is completely absent when it was so beautifully set up. My biggest problem is that I feel the special doesn't really understand the character of Frank Castle in a really weird way, because on the one hand, it is really dark in the first half, with showing how extremely unwell he is as an individual, on the brink of mental collapse, barely hanging on to reality. But then the second half, the long action scene, feels like it doesn't have the tone of, oh shit, this guy is an unhinged psychopath. Yes, he kills bad people, but he is extremely scary and dangerous. It has the tone of, let's play a heavy metal song and enjoy Frank waste some dudes. The worst part was probably the climax, where he stabs a guy about 50 times with a pen right in front of a 10-year-old girl, and the girl afterwards comes up to him smiling and thanks him, which, okay, sure, he did save her life, but I feel like that level of brutality would still traumatize the child, and she would be just as afraid of Frank as she was of the other dude. It feels like the special wants to glorify and justify and praise the extreme violence, where I think that the correct tone for any Punisher media is one where the audience is totally conflicted about, on the one hand, sympathizing with Frank, but on the other, recognizing that he is going too far. He's not a character meant to be admired. But I feel like the filmmakers here do admire him, if that makes sense. Plot-wise, again, it's a bit strange, because what we do get feels like the middle chapter of a larger story that we're not privy to. Plus, for for how much Marvel has been trying to explain where it sits in the timeline, it again feels absolutely disconnected from the larger universe and the things happening in Daredevil, which to me it just defeats the point of having a shared universe. I also have to comment on the already ridiculed shot with unfinished CGI that has been mocked online. You can find it on social media. There's a shot of Frank falling down onto an electrical box, and it looks absolutely awful. I actually paused and rewound the show because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Very sloppy work from Disney to release something that bad. On the positive side, Bernthal is fantastic as always. I love the really dark and oppressive tone of the first half, the editing of his hallucinations, the characters sort of popping in and out. That's all really well done. The action is fine too. I like that they're not shying away from brutality because his character does need it. But again, I don't think it hits the right tone in the end, and it wasn't really compelling in any significant way. Fine to watch it once, I guess, but I'll probably forget all about it in 2 weeks.